with complete coverage of the Utah Hockey Club. This is Cole Bagley of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Keary, Stevenson Sylvester sitting in for JJ, who's off today. And guess what? It's that time of the week for us to be able to chat with our Utah Hockey Club insider for KSLSports.com. He's Cole Bagley, brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. One way we can grow stronger together, you ready for this? It's to nominate our youth sports volunteers across the state. Let's do it. Submit that nomination, KSLSports.com/contest. Listen every Thursday afternoon, and JJ and I read those winners off. Help us celebrate those efforts of the volunteers. You know somebody who's doing an awesome job with the kids in your neighborhood. Nominate them. They get a prize from Hercules Credit Union and $200 to Beehive Meals. So there you go. KSLSports.com/contest. Cole Bagley joining us on the show. Cole, what's going on with the Utah Hockey Club? Why can't we win a game at home? Gosh dang it.
It's a good question, and I think it's an answer that the Utah Hockey Club would like to have themselves. I think, some of the things that come to mind is they've played really, really good teams at home. And I know that, some of the conversations that they've had is, it almost feels like there's a little bit more pressure to win at Delta Center, which is understandable. It's a new fan base, it's a new arena. It's a much bigger place than they were, much bigger barn than they were playing in Arizona. And, guys like Schmaltz and even Coach Bear said that, it feels like we're a little bit more emotional at home. It feels like, teams are able to get under our skin a little bit easier than on the road. On the road, they kind of just take it easy. They play simpler hockey, and, they've been finding a lot of success. So it just kind of is what it is. And, they want to fix it as soon as possible. And best way to do that is to start racking up some wins on the road.
Let's say that theory is true, right? Let's say they're a little bit more emotional. When somebody really wants it, it just doesn't always happen, right? Like, let's say that theory is true. Is that a good thing, though? If you're Utah, you're like, your team really wants to win for you. They really care at home. Is that a good thing in the long run?
Yeah, I think that this team cares a lot. I think they've felt the full embrace of Utah and the community. I think they're playing with a little more passion, a little more energy than they have in years past. And I think they're trying to match the levels of the crowd. And, you can kind of see it. They've had quite a few games where they've been up by 3 or 4 goals. They've kind of just sat back on their heels. Teams have gotten back into it and surprised them, and it's been hard to get back into that game, and they've lost a couple of those. So, yeah, I think in the long run it's a good thing. This is not something that's going to continue for years and years. Like, they're figuring it out. This is a new experience for a lot of these guys, especially young guys like Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther and a handful of others. This is the most pressure they've had from a fan base, from a media perspective, from nationally. A lot of people are paying attention to the Utah Hockey Club because it's one of the biggest headlines in the National Hockey League this year with the relocation. So I think it's just a little bit of pressure, and, the guys are really trying to figure it out. And so, yeah, to answer your question, I think it's a good thing, and I think it will, I think they'll relax and eventually they'll figure it out.
Heading up to Seattle tonight, and the Kraken are an interesting team, and certainly a matchup that, anybody on the road for the hockey club seems like they're in danger of losing that game. They're not afraid of anybody. But what are they expected to see? What are you expected to see tonight from this team as they go up to Seattle, take on the Kraken for the first time in Utah Hockey Club history?
Yeah, I think Seattle's a gritty team. They're 16-19 overall. 34 points, so just 4 points behind Utah. They're about the same at home as they are away, and they're a team that's trying to figure out their identity as well. A couple years ago, I think 2 seasons ago, they made the playoffs for the first time in their history and kind of shocked the hockey world by beating the reigning Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche. And but then last year kind of fell apart, and they're kind of in an identity crisis a little bit themselves, trying to figure out who they are. But they play tough. They're very good defensively. Their D-men get involved, and so we heard from Dylan Gunther this morning that it's going to be important for Utah to get ahead early, to play with intensity in that first period and try to take control of the game, because Seattle's a team that's they're floating right around that 500 mark as well. So they can play with anybody just like Utah.
So what is this? What does this kind of look like for people that's not kind of used to hockey? And I don't feel like this is the same as
Sly
Utah.
just went to his first game, by the way, the other night.
I did. I know the score was lopsided. That? The score was lopsided against Colorado. It wasn't. I don't take the 4-1 as we got our butt stopped. Like, we pulled the goalie the last 2 goals and yada yada yada. Right. But so what does this kind of look like for people who's not really used to like hockey? This isn't kind of like the Jazz rebuild that's going on with the Utah Jazz right now, right? Like, as far as like the Utah Hockey Club outlook, we still have a chance for the playoffs, right? We're 36 games in, almost halfway through the season. This can essentially, we can get into another flow and continue on and be a real dominant force here in the Western Conference. What does this kind of look like as far as a hockey's perspective at this point in the season? When is normally something where you really need to pay attention to, or is it after the Winter Classic? Like what point in the season do you really got to look at and assess your team?
Yeah, kind of to answer the first part of that is. The Utah Hockey Club, I would say, is about 2 or 3 years ahead of where the Jazz are. And I think they've got the blueprint for what the Jazz would want to do, right? Like, you build through the draft, you hit on a couple of high draft picks, a couple of guys that show a lot of promise. For the Utah Hockey Club, that's Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther. They were high draft picks, and they're turning out to be phenomenal players. I think future superstars in this league. And so it's different than where the Jazz are for sure. Utah absolutely has a chance to still make the playoffs. I mean, if you look at the Central Division right now, Utah's in that 5th spot, but they're only 5 points behind Dallas, 6 points behind Colorado. And so there's still plenty of opportunity there. And in terms of when the season really kicks up, it's generally, you want your team to have their identity by about December and January. And that's when you see a lot of teams start to really make a push. They start to push in that, January, February timeline, and, hope that they're in play in March and April, and that they can, get on a hot streak and piece together some wins so that they can get, those decisive points. A lot of times, playoff spots are decided by somewhere between 3 to 5 points. The team that's getting in compared to the team that's not. So the identity is really, I think Utah's identity is really starting to come together. I think we kind of know who this team is, and it's exciting. They're very much in that playoff race. They do have a chance. I won't be shocked if they make it. I won't be shocked if they don't. But the future is very, very bright for this team. So much youth, so many prospects. I mean, the World Junior Tournament is going on right now, and Utah has the second most prospects in that tournament right now, with 5 guys playing for their junior national squads. Nice. That is significant. Yeah. And so, Bill Armstrong and the front office are doing it right. This team, a lot of people are talking about that this team might have the most potential of any young team in the National Hockey League. And I think they might just be a piece or two away, and maybe they have that guy in their prospect pool. We'll see.
Cole Bagley joining us, Utah Hockey Club insider, of course, for KSLSports.com. This is a long week for the road, or for the team to be on the road here. They go tonight. They go tomorrow night up to Edmonton. And then they go Calgary, also in Calgary, and then the Stars on Saturday. Those are just to get you to Saturday. That's a long road trip for this team. How do they adjust on the road? Because even this team who likes playing on the road, I mean, that's 4 games in 6 nights.
Yeah, it's tough. I was having a conversation with a couple of the guys. I have a newfound respect for what these guys do. I followed the National Hockey League. I followed the NBA, all the pro sports leagues. And I think what you don't realize is, how intense the season is, especially for leagues that are playing 82 games. These guys are not necessarily getting the best sleep. They're leaving on red eyes. They've got a game in Seattle tonight. That game will probably, puck drops at 5 o'clock Pacific. It'll probably be over by about 8:30. They probably won't get to the airport till after 10. And then they're flying straight to Edmonton. They probably don't get into their hotel rooms till about 2. And then they got morning skate, at 10:30 tomorrow.
You got to let them have the morning skate off every once in a while. I mean, come on.
Every once in a while, but it's tough, right? You got to practice. You got to keep the guys fresh, and give them an opportunity to prepare for the game that night, and then off to Calgary and Dallas. And luckily, they get a 3-day stretch before they start a long homestand. I think they're playing about 7 games at home straight, and then 2 to finish at the end of January. So it's pretty crazy what these guys do, what they put their body through day in and day out, being away from their families for long stretches. It's a grind. But it's interesting, right? Like, they're better on the road than they are at home, so must not be impacting them too much.
Cole Bagley, he covers the hockey club for KSLSports.com. You can find his byline there. I just get the notification straight to my phone on these. If you sign up for notifications, you'll get that full write-up from Cole after every one of these games. He has the hat trick loaded ready for you. So do what we do. Keep those notifications coming. And, Cole, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for getting us through. And have a happy New Year, man.
Yeah, same to you guys. Thanks so much.
There you go. Cole Bagley, everybody. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We got our weekend warriors. Yeah, that's a rough one. To Seattle.
Calgary.
Go to Edmonton the very next night, tomorrow night. Go to Calgary. Go to Dallas. Calgary to Dallas is no – and they get a day in between that. They need that full day to –
Is it basketball and hockey, man?
Some long stretches.
They do these games. It's freaking nuts.
But what's bonkers is this team plays really, really well on the road. 11 of their 16 wins have come on the road. It's nuts. 7-game win streak on the
Hey,
on
man,
the road.
us lowly fans will still pack Delta Center, I tell you that much. I had a good time.
I know. It was fun. We're all figuring it out. They shame people if they get up and walk up and down the aisles during action.
Oh yeah. My wife, because they had the little signs, action in play or puck in play.
Right.
And my wife's like, what? Don't put that in my way.
She's not moving it
She's got a lot of attitude. It's like,
No.
wife, you can't give everybody the attitude you give me, all right? Just relax.
It's a hockey thing. You got to figure it out. It's not like the Jazz games where they're dribbling down the court and you're like, now it's good for a corn dog. That's a good time right now. Right about now. I know it's mid-first quarter. There was just a dunk that happened, but I'm getting up. I'm going to the bathroom. It's fine. All right. We'll come back. We've got more. We've got our weekend warriors. We'll jam on a couple of highlights as well from the NFL and from that BYU Colorado game. So stay with us, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.